Okay, so we have another gorgeous day today. It's beautiful. So I'm gonna try to get all of the annuals that I purchased at the garden center into the ground today. So figuring out where I want them to go and just getting them in. So this planter is technically in the front yard and not the backyard, but you can see there's some sedums and zinnia that come back every year, but just to add some color and interest, I popped some of the petunias into the back there. And they think that's pretty much filled up, so I've got some extra petunias that can go somewhere in the back. And I just popped the 3 remaining petunias in my galvanized planter. It said that it could take part sun to full sun, so this will be a good spot for it because it's a little bit shady, and my ground cover is still coming in very nicely. So these celosia, I decided that the red and the yellow would contrast really nicely with the shrubs behind them. So I just kind of interspersed them throughout this bed to give it just, you know, like some interest and some color. So I went ahead and planted 4 salvia in this bed, kind of right in the middle. I kind of had a rule that my raised beds were only going to be sort of edible herbs and vegetables and not really, you know, flowers, but you know what, they're my rules, so I can break them. And I just thought that these salvia would be kind of pretty here in the middle of this bed, and you know, when the arugula really start growing and when the Swiss chard really start growing, it'll be like a nice divider. And then I did also put one of the salvia in this planter, and then there's one more that will go somewhere. I'll decide where. My mint is growing really big and really wild, and I'll just point out my lamium is like taking over the wheelbarrow. And I'll also point out I got this really gorgeous, this is an antique wash tub. I actually got it from the same store in our little downtown that I got this planter from, but we were driving by and I saw it on display and I was like, stop the car. So yeah, it used to be a wash tub, and I just think it's like the perfect size. I think what I might do is not fill it with dirt, rather like put some pots inside of it. I haven't quite decided. I'm expecting my plant gem flowers to arrive tomorrow, but like See how it looks with everything with the planter? I think, you know, that planter just, you know, it fits perfectly in this row. So I'm excited about filling that up with some stuff. The chive flowers are blooming and they look so pretty. And the chives that I harvested a couple weeks ago are already growing back. And the English primrose that I planted out here in March when it was still kind of chilly, they're really blossoming, they're taking off. And I just thought I'd point out just for fun, our azalea bush, my husband planted this. It is in full bloom and it's looking very nice. And I just thought I'd give a quick update on my seed starts. So one thing that I did is I had my summer squash in these little cells. I moved them to individual pots because you can see they're getting quite big, but they are very droopy. So trying to support them the best that I can. I hope they transplant okay. I've always had in my raised beds, I've never been able to successfully grow squash. They seem to get like attacked by some kind of insect, or when I transplant them, they just don't transplant well. So this is kind of like the first transplanting, you know, test for these squash to kind of prepare them for the big true transplant. My peppers are doing well. I'm gonna have to thin these soon, I think. And then I'm going to be putting some cucumber seeds in here. I was at the grocery store and I saw them selling cucumber starts and I was like, oh, I should start my cucumber. My oregano is doing pretty nicely. My thyme is not. It's kind of like leggy and like the base of the stems is really thin and just, I don't know, my thyme is not doing well. I don't know how that's gonna do. These are like 2 random Swiss chard that I planted. The packet said they don't transplant well, so we'll see. And then these are some basil seeds. My mom had given me these last year. Decided to just start these so I'd have some basil plants for when it gets warmer. So yeah, it's mid-May here, and this past week was pretty chilly, and this week coming up is pretty chilly. So, you know, it definitely makes sense to start some of these sort of summer crop inside, so that when it's warm enough, they kind of have a head start. So and I'm kind of starting to run out of space almost a little bit here. That's the update on those.